Today I'm chatting with the very wonderful Charlotte Jameson, who I've known personally for close to 30 years, which is just amazing. I know, it's crazy, isn't it? While Char is one of my nearest and dearest, I wanted to introduce you to her for other reasons, which will add great value to your everyday well-being. Charlotte is a mindfulness and wellbeing practitioner and coach with over 15 years of experience sharing positive psychology and neuroscience. Her specific focus is supporting parents with the tools to be their best selves. Char, welcome, my gorgeous friend. How are you?
Oh, thanks, Jax. Well, I'm well. I'm ready to have this great chat because I could talk all day about this sort of stuff. So let's go.
Before we jump into things though, tell me, what does your morning looks like with getting kids out the door and with you getting to work? How have you laid your foundations for the day?
Well, look, to be honest, we've all had COVID, so we've all been in isolation. So this is all sort of Freedom Day, and the kids have been a little bit wobbly. So that's been fun. And everyone's pretty exhausted from the recent, illness, but the sun's shining, and it is just about recognizing that this is difficult, recognizing that this is not normal, and what is in my control. One step in front of the other. And I'm really lucky because I absolutely love what I do. And so it's not a drag to get to work.
Yeah, excellent.
It's exciting. Yeah.
Char, you mentioned to me, or you've sent to me, that there's a significant body of research via the Melbourne Research Institute, which has shown that since 2020, there's been a surge in mental distress for parents, mostly from a financial perspective and then through family work conflicts. So can you unpack a little bit of this for us?
Well, I mean, we don't need a university to tell us that parents have some mental distress.
No.
Especially financial distress, trying to, the house prices, the cost of living. We live it, we know it, but it is backed up by research that is a significant cause for distress. The other cause for distress that they've noted is this idea of work-family conflict. So work-family conflict is when work actually impacts the way your family operates. So that is psychosocial risks. So that is risks in the organization that actually affect your mental health. Mm-hmm. And they're things like high job demands or work design that is not suited to a family. So hours that don't really suit a family. And they can really impact how your family operates, the dynamics of the family. But there's also, if you flip it, family work conflict as well. And that's where family stresses impact your ability to work. And we've seen a significant rise in this, obviously because of all the lockdowns and anyone who's had to homeschool, anyone who has been stuck at home with toddlers, how this kind of level of extra stress has added to your ability to be productive, your ability to sleep or enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
And what I've seen in my clients is that I've had people taking leave without pay, which obviously feeds into that financial stress again.
Yeah.
People, the great resignation. So lots of mothers in particular have been resigning from their jobs because it's too hard.
Yeah.
And they are not being the parent they want to be. And that's been something that's really, been highlighted to me, is that these parents are not being the parent that they really thought they would be due to all these sorts of stuff.
I can definitely relate to that, and certainly from like how they work, sort of vice versa. But I've definitely found with COVID, with homeschool, with all the sickness and all these things, and I had to acknowledge it really openly the other day, that my capacity to concentrate in the way that I used to has diminished so much that it affects my work. It also really affects my confidence in my work as well. I'm constantly working in these tiny short bursts because I'm always so interrupted with children whom I absolutely love and adore. There is no denying that by any means. But, you know, as parents, we've got so many balls in the air. We wear a million different hats in a day. And I was looking at it recently and why I was lacking confidence in things and why I found certain things in work stressful now versus a few years ago when I didn't find them stressful. And it's actually related to my ability to concentrate on one single thing for long enough to feel like it adds value to a situation, to a presentation, to whatever it is with work. So I really feel like I can relate to that. And it's interesting that it's, you know, it's across the board. I mean, you'd think so, but it's interesting that the research is really showing that too.
Yeah, and we all want to try and wear all these different hats, you know, we at the same time. We want to wear our mum or our parent hat. We want to wear our spouse hat, or partner hat. We want to wear our work hat, and we try and put them all on at once. And not only does it look ridiculous, but it's just not functioning. It just doesn't work, you know. It all falls over. I had this one client who said to me, because I was asking this question, you know, are you the parent who you dreamed you'd be?
Yeah.
And she was saying, well, I have been pretty good with homeschooling and with the screen time. I mean, I don't know who gets to say that, but this person did. And I was like, what's your secret? And she said, well, I don't work. And I immersed myself completely in being the parent. But she said, but what I noticed in hindsight is I had nothing left for my spouse. And I thought that was really interesting because, yes, you can do it all, but at what cost? You know, you do shallow work. You don't concentrate when you sit down to work because you're distracted, or, you know, and I think it's a really interesting insight into reality is that, yes, we want to do it all. And of course we want to do it all. And we've been told that we can do it all, but we just, you know, we can't do it all at once. And so it's really being intentional. Who am I going to be in this moment? Yeah. And what is in my control in order to alleviate that? So I've right now got my husband working from home and my son glued to a screen because he is not yet at school and he's glued to the screen. That was in my control, and that was a choice because I wanted to focus on this. This won't last forever. I will then go and put my mum hat on and that sort of thing. And it's recognizing what's in your control, what you're comfortable with, and getting that support that you actually need to make that happen. But I thought that was a really, really interesting insight from one of my clients. Yeah. I really love that saying, you can do it all, but that doesn't mean that you should. Do you know what I mean? And I think women, and you and I mean, we've known each other since primary and high school days, and it was sort of the same carry on. And I think that was probably really drilled into us at that very young age. It's like, you can do it all, you can do it all, you can do it all. Absolutely, you should have the faith and you can back yourself that you can do it all. But ultimately, all is you can tick the dreams that you have, but doing it all in terms of trying to do everything in your life at the same time doesn't always work out. So you can do it all and you can reach those dreams and those aspirations, but it doesn't mean you have to take on every single thing at the same time in the meantime. So it's a really important thing. And I try to remind myself of that always. It's like, you can do it all, Jack, you can get there, but you don't have to do it all right now in this very moment. Yeah. And I think what's helped for me is the redefining of success for me, because when I was in the corporate, I was, working for one of the big four. We were it was very hierarchical. It was very much like, we're all type A, we're going to get there. Woo, woo, woo. And when you're in that environment, it's like, yeah, this is what I want. And I had to really ask myself, is this what I want? And it was my core values. I had to go back to my core values because they kind of got lost in all the murk of like the corporate hustle. I had to go back to my core values and go, well, what is success for me? And success is so different for everyone. So it might be the corporate hustle for some people, and that's no judgment. That if that's your core value, that's your core value. Totally. And that's what's successful for you. Success for me was to be there for, I wanted to be there for all the little things for my kids. We made the choice. My husband was, going to be, the full-time worker. And that's what works for our family. And that's the sort of choice. But it was a redefining of what success looks like for me. And also this idea, as you said, is I will get there. There is time. Just keep chipping away. Just keep doing what I love. Make it work for me. Make it work for my family. And, in time, there will be that space.
things will roll out as they should.
But it takes mindfulness. It really takes intentionality, because society kind of dictates. If you don't make something a priority, other people will prioritize, other people will make it a priority. So we really have to have that energy. And that's the operative word, right? We have to have the energy to be able to stop and actually think. But a lot of us are so depleted because, you know, of the everyday stuff, that we kind of just go and go and go and go in this survival mode. So, yeah.
But it's so important to reinforce, right? And I'm a big believer in this, that every day we each have a choice to fine tune something about our health, our well-being and our lifestyle. And when I refer to health and nutrition, I always say to people, it's not what you put in your mouth and the way that you move. It's not that. You can't be that reductionist about it. You know, health is about the physical, the mental, the emotional, but you have these choices every single day, and we have that opportunity to fine tune. So it's really interesting that, you know, you practice what you preach, Shah. It's like, I had to take a step back, but I had a choice. I had an opportunity. I knew that in the meantime, I might need to give up a little bit, but I knew in the long term that I would gain it eventually. So it's really interesting. I think it's really important that people hear this stuff too, because you do sometimes feel like you just have to keep charging forward. But yeah, every day you're given choice and opportunity.
Well, I feel like sometimes I'm alone in it. I think, oh, nobody else is having, you know, these sorts of issues. Like, but we are. We all are. And if we can normalize these kind of conversations, I think it's really useful, because you can go, oh, you know, I'm not the only one. And we can learn from each other as well. I'm a really, really big believer in lifting each other's, you know, up. So the cure for burnout is, it's not just going and taking self-care for yourself. If you've ever read Burnout by the Nagoski twins, they say the cure for burnout is really lifting each other up, and it's learning from each other, and that's through these conversations. We can share what our struggles are, what our dreams are, and how we're going to do it. And what I'm a big believer in is small little tweaks. I think a lot of my clients come in and say, I want to change my life. I want to change this. And I think, great, awesome, you've got so much motivation right now. But when you're sleep deprived, when you haven't, you know, you've been disrupted all night, and when you've got to try and get dinner on the table and you've got deadlines or what have you, this motivation won't be there as much as you want it to be.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
I really work with people to do small tweaks, to look at their day and to see what's realistic and what they think they are able to do, and just focus on tiny little things and making tiny little tweaks.
Which is my same philosophy in nutrition as well. It's like, when you try to overhaul everything overnight, you're actually setting yourself up to fail, versus if you implement those small tweaks and fine tune things just on a daily basis, you create habits which you can be more consistent with, and then you have longevity with your health. So now I'm going to dive in with something a little bit more selfishly, but I know it'll help everyone else because we can relate. I'd love to know what I can do to continue my self-development and be the best parent I can be. So could you give me and my community a few tools for what we can do to reduce mental distress and work towards being our best?
So there's different strokes for different folks. I always like to start off with acknowledging our lives are all nuanced. So I'm going to speak to you with your life, and I'm going to invite people to really think about their life and think about what do they want, what are they struggling with, and what's possible for them. So I just wanted to start with that caveat. I work with the CALMER Parent Wellbeing Model, and this model, it is a great model, a foundational model to increase your level of well-being. And research suggests when you're optimizing your own level of well-being, you are able to be more productive, you're able to be the type of person you want to be. So how we do that is through the 6 pillars. And that is having some compassion towards yourself and towards other people. It's having action, it's taking action, but it's values guided action. So you might remember I spoke about, me tapping back into my values to work out what was the next step. So it's really important that we take these little steps, but they have to be within our control and they have to be aligned towards our values. Then the third pillar is learning. So we need to be able to be okay with trying things and making mistakes, and have this mindset of, I have a brain that is plastic, that can be rewired. Neuroplasticity suggests we can learn new things, we can grow. And that is a really fundamental pillar for us to keep improving. And it's not this idea of perfection, because perfection, there is no growth. It's this idea of working towards and continually growing and learning. Then the fourth pillar is mindfulness. And this is about building psychological flexibility. So it's about acknowledging that we are going to have difficult experiences, and it's not trying to change the experience, but it's trying to have a different relationship with the experience. And so that's where you notice what's going on, you accept what's going on, you feel it in your body, but you can engage in what you're doing right now. You can continue to do what you need to do. 5, the fifth pillar is enjoyment. And, you know, I just think, what's the point of it all if you're not having a good time? So I'm really, really, really big advocate for having fun, for having jolts of joy in your life, for having those bliss points in your day, and really making sure that you are doing something that lights you up. Positive emotion not only helps your overall well-being, but it does help your productivity, and it does help your ability to stay on top of things. So positive emotion is really important. And relationships. So I mentioned lifting each other up is the cure for burnout, and that's key in relationships, the 6th pillar. We're social animals, we have social brains. So it's really important that we nurture those positive relationships in our lives. We give to them as well as receive from them as well. So within these pillars, there's lots of positive interventions that we can do. And I wonder, for you, because I always like to say, let's not focus on it all. That'd be great if we could just, you know, focus on it all and do it all at once.
It's like having a magic wand though, isn't it?
Take a pill. Don't we want to do that in society?
Yeah.
Can I take a pill for it?
Yeah.
No, you can't. You have to look at one little thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, I wonder what is the one thing that is distressing you most about the type of parent that you are being right now, or the type of, you know, what is preventing you from activating your best self right now? What's one of the
for me, I think certainly, look, we've had kids home and sick there's been someone sick every week since February, right? I'm a nutritionist. I give the utmost supportive nutrition to my family and my kids, but some things have just been unavoidable. I've had a toddler that started kindy. She's brought everything home. Jet started a new school. So I have felt a little bit trapped by home, and thus not really connecting in the way that I need to fill my cup in terms of with other people and the relationships that I have. So when I do have moments like this with you, I'm like, oh, well, this really filled my cup for the morning. I really need this on a Monday morning. And now I'm starting to think maybe I make this my Monday morning habit or something, as well as like have a conversation with someone on Zoom, get some insight, learn from them. So yeah, for me, I've really felt like a loss of connection with other people. I really deeply feel that right now. I really feel like that's something that I have to figure out a way to work hard at in terms of, I just have to keep reaching out, because not everyone is available. We all have so much going on, but I need to make sure that I'm connecting with people more frequently, because otherwise, I know I get a bit stuck in my own head with things, or I get hyper-focused on something. So I might get hyper-focused and fixated on something to do with work, or maybe I start, there's sort of this, I start speaking to myself poorly about what I'm doing, and, you know, either as a parent or as a partner and lover, or as a sister, a friend, or a mother. So I'm really aware that relationships are something that I need to just put more energy into, and making sure that I'm connecting with other people. So that really resonates for me.
Okay. So we now have to look what's within your control as well, right? Because you and I used to go on this luscious long walks together.
I know.
And I really, really miss that. Yeah. We're now, you know, we're bridges apart now.
I know.
And it's not always possible to do those things. But what we have done together is when we have been walking, we have occasionally spoken on the phone when we've, been walking. So let's sort of brainstorm a few things that are within our possibility, within your control, to have a touch base of a relationship. And it doesn't necessarily have to be every day, but let's see what's possible in your day. So starting from, let's look at your schedule today. We've been able to make this possible because it's been under the guise of work as well.
Yeah.
What will be possible in a day like today to have and let's not talk about half an hour. Let's talk about a 5-minute or a 2-minute conversation.
Yeah.
Because when we, as you know, when we do habits, we need to really make them so ridiculous that it's silly not to do it.
Yeah.
So
ridiculously easy to achieve.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It might even just be a text message.
Yeah.
So what do you think in a day like today might be achievable for you?
I think this certainly has really reinforced to me that it can be easy. And whilst I'd love to do something like this every Monday, as I said, I do feel like that 5-minute conversation with someone, either when I'm making some lunch or maybe just sitting and eating lunch so I can have conversation with someone in my day, another adult and a friend. I feel like that is something achievable, and that 5 minutes is very much there, ready for the picking for me. So I can tick that box. It's not overwhelming.
Yeah. So how are you going to make that actually happen? Are you going to schedule that? Because I know if I call, you, for instance, or, somebody else, it doesn't always work for their schedules. So how are you going to actually ensure that can happen? Or do you want to take it back a notch and just focus on texting someone? Or,
I mean, that's a start, right? Anything that's a start is just scratching the surface of what needs to happen at a broader level. So, I think if I focus each day on texting one friend and just touching base, and if they're available, jumping on the call for 5 minutes, that would actually, it's 100% more than what I am potentially doing yesterday. So
I'm actually really excited for you to hear this. So is it in the morning when you wake up? Let's anchor it to something that you always do. Is it when you're making the lunch, you text someone? Or
I think mornings are pretty frantic for parents, so I'd never, I wouldn't try to put myself in that position, because I think I'd probably set myself up for fail, and then I also feel like I'd be a pest for other people. So they'd be like, Jack, what don't you get about this? This is a frantic time of morning. Oh, I get it. Trust me. It's like when people call me at 5:30 at night, I'm like, no.
Time at the zoo.
No, I do feel like I'm really, I'm concentrating on trying to not just let those days when I work and I've got some help with the kids, or Elkie's at daycare, to fly by without me focusing on some good food and nutrition at lunchtime. Sometimes it's very easy to get caught in work mode, and even as nutritionists, just grab something really quickly, like some boiled eggs and a carrot from the fridge, and sort of eat as you go. And I'm really acknowledging that at the moment, because it's like, practice what you bloody preach, Jack. So I feel like if I give some attention to my lunch each day, that's a time when I can text and potentially have a little 5-minute combo with someone. So that's a real easy box for me to tick.
Amazing.
That's really helpful. You know what, it's little things like that I think that people need, that are just small insights that make you feel like self-improvement, self-development, being a better parent actually isn't something that takes hours and multiple research studies and books to read about to improve, but it's actually, the same thing that I encourage people to practice with nutrition, which is just look at how you make, little tweaks and fine tune your day, instead of trying to do it all at once, so that you can be consistent and have longevity in your relationships and with yourself as well.
Absolutely. When you think about it, when you're eating the food that is going to actually fuel you, you feel better. When you've had the relationships that are going to lift you up, you feel better. And what type of parent are you when you have those sorts of those feelings? You're a different parent. You're someone who's calmer. You're someone who's patient. And there for them. So
Oh, that was insightful, and even better, I got to see your face, which is such a great way to start my day. We should do this more often.
I don't want to hang
and
up.
we will be. Look out, I'll be texting you every lunchtime. Hey, thank you so much. Now, if people would like to connect with you and understand more about your work, where will they find you, Shah?
They can find me on Instagram under the handle Wellbeing Gets Real.
Yep.
So
and also there. Your website?
My website is wellbeinggetsreal.com.
Excellent.
And I'm on LinkedIn as well, and all the usual.
Yeah. So people can find you, which is great. Thank you again. I appreciate your time, and I hope that's given, well, it's certainly given me some great insights, and no doubt my community as well. So I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to see you face to face soon. We will have a walk. It's going to happen now.
So we've got a lunch coming up because you have to put that in.
I know. We booked it in like 2 months ago. So it's all happening. All right, beautiful friend. Thanks, you again. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you. Bye.